A very good afternoon, ma'am, and we are really honored to have you. And welcome to SAI International School.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
How do you perceive as being a space reporter different or unique from others?
Well, it's very different to being, say, business or politics because it's not as fast changing. You know, it doesn't change on a daily basis, science. It tends to be more incremental. But it's a specialism just like any other form of journalism. So you still have to know your subject. You still have to be interested in your subject and want to communicate about it and also report on it in as independent way as you can. Critical sometimes where needs be. But I think science is unique because it has its own jargon. And we have to make sure that we communicate. That's not to say business doesn't have jargon, because it does, but we have to communicate exactly what scientists and engineers are doing in the best possible way.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Do you think it's possible for people to settle in Moon in the near future?
Absolutely. There's a bit of a race to get back to the Moon at the moment, and it's very exciting. There are different organisations and companies like the European Space Agency want to set up a moon base. China has landed already rovers on the moon. India's going back to the moon, putting a rover on the moon. It's happening. Independent companies are going. So absolutely, we are going back, and this time we are going back to stay.
Okay, ma'am. Please tell us something about Moon Village.
Yeah, this is a concept by the European Space Agency's Director General, Jan Werner, and it would be like an international community, so a collection of buildings where you would have astronauts, astronomers, space tourists, a community like you would have in a village, on Earth. So it would be a way of living like we would on Earth, communally but internationally, different nations there, all living together. Off-world, interconnected. And I think it's an amazing thought.
Do you dream to land on Moon someday?
Me? Oh gosh, yes. In fact, when I was 13 years old, I wrote to NASA. I was at school asking, how do I become an astronaut? And they wrote back to me, and they sent me the technical specifications for the space shuttle, which was their newest space plane. What they didn't tell me, though, was that actually NASA didn't admit women astronauts yet. So I quite like the fact that they knew that, even when I was writing, there was no chance of me becoming an astronaut because I was female. But also, I was British. They didn't admit British astronauts. That had passed me by too. So they didn't crush my dreams, and I'm very grateful to NASA for doing that. So, that's one of my ambitions.
Okay, ma'am, please tell us or give us an insight into your book. That's How to Clone the Perfect Blonde.
All right. Yes, I wrote that about 2004, actually, with my husband, who's also a science broadcaster and journalist. It was a collection of essays, actually, on using quite fun topics to explain a science. So how to clone the perfect blonde. And that blonde could be male, female, it could be a dog, like a Labrador, a nice blonde dog, but it was to explain cloning. We also did, I wrote a lot of the more physics-based ones because my background's physics, my husband's background is biology. I wrote the one about black holes as well, the chapter about black holes. But that was written as a way of, there's a town in Britain that British people are often quite rude about called Slough, and in fact a famous poet, John Betjeman, wrote quite a essay. It's funny, but it's a bit rude about the place. So I wrote it as how to remove Slough, and it was how you would get a black hole so that you would get the event horizon just right, so that you could remove what people thought perhaps was a potential eyesore. I mean, sure Slough is not an eyesore anymore. So it was a fun way of looking at different concepts. Well, from what I've seen of the school so far, it looks absolutely incredible. Your facilities are excellent. I'm delighted to hear that you've got a 10-inch telescope and that there's even been a school trip to NASA. That's quite amazing. But I think that's one of the great reasons, one of the fantastic opportunities that the British Council have done by bringing speakers, some of whom sound far better than I am, so that we can share what we do, whether it's science or space or astronomy, or in my case, journalism. But also you can hear what we're doing in Britain too, because we have such a great track record in space. There are very few missions that don't have a British science on board. So I'm learning from you. Hopefully you're learning from me, and let this be the continuation of a fantastic collaboration.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving such lovely inputs and to grace the occasion.